The year is 2007. David Tennant was still young and pretty, unlike nowadays where it's mostly just pretty. And in May 26th, Paul Cornell had his second go at bringing Doctor Who onto the big screen. Yeah, Paul Cornell, who's like this quasi-prolific British writer, had actually written Doctor Who before. He was tasked with writing the original relaunch of the franchise, which was supposed to be an animated series, starring Richard E. Grant as the new 9th Doctor. Yeah, you know him from, the Snowman episode with Matt Smith?
No! I won't do it! Whatever it is, I don't want to be here!
Summerfield will marry murder me.
Yeah, that never became a thing, unfortunately for him, but seeing as he had written Doctor Who in the past, mostly notable his novel for the 7th Doctor New Adventures, which was incidentally called Human Nature. Yeah, this is basically a straight up adaptation of that. How does that work? Is it still canon? Well, he even wrote 2 stories, about 5 minutes each, explaining the wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff behind it. Everything is canon and nothing is canon at the same time. Welcome to Doctor Who Exactly. 1. Human Nature and the Family of Blood were written by Paul Cornell, but he's gone onto Twitter and stated that he had a lot of input and help from Russell T Davies, punching up the script into a more TV format, lifting stuff from the book he'd written beforehand, but wisely changing some things around so it works better as a TV episode. One of the scenes of the book was taken and changed around a bit to form a natural cliffhanger, as Doctor Who's most well known for. So what is Human Nature and the Family of Blood really about then? Well, let's get to the plot. The Doctor and Martha are being chased by aliens. They retreat to the TARDIS, and the Doctor realises that by using their technology they could track the TARDIS anywhere in time and space, and that they're after him personally. They're after a Time Lord. So he does the unthinkable. He rewrites his bio data so he becomes human. Yeah, that's a bit weird. The TARDIS by happen chance picks a random space in time, England, in 1913. So for Martha, a BAME, that's not the best place to be, seeing as, well, we're still pretty racist as a society as a whole, but then it was more racist, all of the racist. So the Doctor, as this human being called John Smith, is a teacher at a boarding school, and Martha is his quasi-personal maid. And that's the entire plot. A group of aliens called the Family of Blood, they try to track this Doctor down, but seeing as he's a human being, they can't find him. And that's basically the entire plot of the first episode. There's a lot of build-up here. There's a lot of what could have been. What is the Doctor like as a human being? He's a bit of a tragic figure. You see qualities of the Doctor in him. Everything is pulled from an encyclopedia. It's like he's not really a genuine person, but like, oh, my parents were this, my father was that, my mother was this, I was born here, raised there, moved there, and his entire backstory is just, it doesn't feel genuine, but still you feel for him. You get to know some really awful characters in this episode, like Baines the schoolboy and several of his other peers. They're all picking on this one boy, Timothy, because he's got like, he's a bit weird. He's got latent psychic abilities. Russell T Davies' era of Doctor Who was really fond of this. Human beings being latent psychics and a potential greater future for us. You know, leaning heavily on sci-fantasy as opposed to sci-fi. The Doctor's plan was really to pose as John Smith, to wait out until the Family of Blood would die out, because their lifespan was absolutely tiny. In the novel, this is apparently because of their life cycle imposed on them by their queen, and here it's just a genetic trait. They body hop in order to prolong their existence. Here, hoping to use the Doctor to live forever. Put a pin in that. So they use these mooks, they make a bunch of scarecrows, they animate them, and these are very generic monsters, but seeing as the look of a scarecrow is such a good one to pull off, they work. So they give just enough a bit of a fright factor without seeming silly. Despite the fact that animated scarecrows would not be that dangerous, but the Family of Blood is picking off people one by one, and at one point they grab one of Martha's co-workers, Wendy, and Martha manages to suss her out because he's acting quite weird, and Martha asks her if she would like some gravy or some mutton or sardines and jam in her tea. That's a perfect line, and she immediately knows what time it is, and the aliens have found the Doctor in a way. All in all, there's not really a lot going on aside from the aliens stealing humans to inhabit and the Doctor as John Smith living his life. There's been a few changes, like the chameleon arch is a fob watch. In the book it originally was a cricket ball, which is weird because the Doctor, aside from the Fifth Doctor, is not really that connected to cricket, but a fob watch works better as a prop than a cricket ball, I guess. But this is where the cricket ball scene comes from. Paul Cornell has gone onto Twitter and saying that Russell T Davies helped him punch up the episode quite a lot, change bits quite a lot, and it's just quite interesting to see this. You don't hear about the behind the scenes, behind the magic talk quite so much. So stuff like the cricket ball, the fob watch, the hymns sung by the children, these were all apparently Russell T Davies' idea, and it kind of makes me realise that he might have not have been as appreciated as he was back in the day when he was running the show. So the Family of Blood manages to figure out where this Doctor is hiding, and one of them, daughter of mine, she overhears that the Doctor is John Smith. So the family holds his love interest hostage, and then they grab Martha as well, basically forcing him to choose between his best friend and his lover. The two halves of the Dr. John Smith being pulled into opposite directions. That's quite good. So the Family of Blood is the second part of this two-parter. The Family of Blood is more focused on like an assault of the Family of Blood on the boarding school. There's a lot of foreshadowing of the Great World War, World War I, in this episode, saying that this is gonna be their life. It's gonna be awful and horrible, and there's nothing glorious about war. And yeah, there's a lot of threat going on, but the threat is not because of the aliens being so dangerous. The threat is that John Smith is only a human being, so he can't defeat these aliens. And when Timothy returns upon the Doctor his chameleon arch, which he'd stolen earlier, then we see David Tennant act his bloody socks off. When John Smith has the fob watch and he starts talking like the Doctor, then he becomes terrified. You see a human being unable to fathom the existence he had before. Finally, he is a man and he's desperate to stay alive. And it's sad that this man has to give up his life so that the Doctor would be again. When he talks to Joan, his love interest, the nurse, he sees flashes of his future that could have been. He sees himself dying as an old man with family and loved ones, and he asks, are they all safe? And Paul Cornell went on record and said that his dad said the same thing when he passed away. Are they all safe? Is everybody safe? And this is heartbreaking, gut-wrenching stuff. It's like he could never have that. The Doctor can never have that. They will always be on the run, always on the run, never having anything of their own. Speaking of running, there's a bit where Timothy runs away during the assault and somebody calls him a coward and he says, "Any day, sir." And that's such a great callback to Christopher Eccleston's line in The Parting of Ways. That's brilliant. I didn't catch that the first time I saw this on TV. John Smith goes to the Family of Blood and he gives them the fob watch. He stumbles in and hits stuff on the wall, and then the Family of Blood realises that the fob watch is empty. There is no biodata, there is no Time Lord engineering. What happened? Well, John Smith, who just fell over again, stands up and immediately it's like a Christopher Reeve effect. You know, when Clark Kent takes off his super glasses and Superman 2 and he stands up straight and tall, you see him become Superman. And here, it's the same concept. You see John Smith at one point, and at one point David Tennant just flicks a switch in his brain and he is the Doctor. Not literally in the plot, I mean like acting in his performance. And he's just triggered the entire, you know, flux, whatever, techno babble of the ship, and he blows them up. He blows the ship up. And then he gives the family of Blood what they wanted. He traps each and every one of them in horrible, horrible ways. He wraps Father of Mine in dwarf star chains and he tosses him into a black hole. He throws Mother of Mine into the event horizon of a collapsing galaxy. He puts Daughter of Mine in a mirror. Not just any mirror, every mirror. And he suspends Son of Mine in time and makes him a scarecrow. We wanted to live forever, so the Doctor ensured that we would. The fury of a Time Lord. Dang. That's cold. That's literally cold. That showcases why the Doctor is dangerous. There's two stories around this episode. The Shadow of a Doubt and The Shadow of the Mirror. They're both on YouTube by the channel Doctor Who Lockdown. They were written by Paul Cornell and they're voiced by the actress that plays Bernice Summers. If you don't know who Bernice Summers is, it's not important. And the actress who plays Daughter of Mine, you know, the little girl with the red balloon. These are such iconic episodes. They are some of the best of David Tennant's run. And they're definitely Series 3. They stand out in Series 3 so much. I feel Martha in her one series did not get enough time to shine. I feel that, yeah, it's a bit sad for Freema Agyeman. I don't know if it was her own choice or if it was the casting decision to have her move on, but yeah, I wish we had a bit more Martha in our lives. Then we see the ending, and the ending is the Doctor shows up at a memorial for the First World War when Timothy's positively ancient, like the octogenarian or like 100 years something. And Timothy realizes that everything that happened, it's how minuscule in scope he is compared to the Doctor. That's frightening because he says he's like fire and ice and rage. The Family of Blood and Human Nature are, like I said, great episodes. They're not my personal favourites because, like I said, it feels like it takes some time to get to the actual point. It could have possibly been done in the one episode, maybe, but then you'd miss out on a lot of characterization. So there's the issue here. Do you give up time for the human interaction or do you condense the plot? So maybe 2 episodes is better, but it does feel like it's muddling along a little bit here and there. That being said, I personally wouldn't know where to begin changing this. I would not dare. I'm sad that Paul Cornell hasn't done anything more for television for Doctor Who because he's so great at capturing the Doctor's voices. Like he wrote the 9th and he wrote the 10th, but he also wrote the 11th and the 12th in an anniversary comic called 4 Doctors. And if you give that a read, you'll know that in a few lines he manages to peg all their identities, and you can easily say that his Doctors are not interchangeable despite the fact they're the same Time Lord in a way.
Oh, crepes! I haven't had a crepe since a confidence building lunch for Joan of Arc! It's a little bit too well. Shall we have a creep in, have a crepe, and creep out again? Ow! Ow, ow, ow! Alice or Buffoon, I'm not going to save the world from radiation monsters coming out of the sun with a tatty old oven glove. Could have used the oven glove, I'm just saying. If it had been a cool oven glove, that would have been perfect. Oh, will you both just shut up?
Paul Cornell's brilliant. I love it. Also, I would recommend his Captain Britain. His Captain Britain is perfect. Dracula Lives on the Moon. Great stuff. Yeah, that's it. I hope you're safe. Wash your hands. Get yourself a haircut. Do it yourself. I did it myself, and you know, I came out pretty well. We're gonna do another rewatch, and this time we're gonna go somewhere with an S. See ya.